What if I told you there's a country that's mostly desert, yet it has more trees today than it did 50 years ago? A nation so parched, it had to figure out how to make its own water, and now it recycles almost every single drop. This isn't some sci-fi movie. It's a real-life snapshot of modern Israel. Trust me, the reality is way more impressive than you think. When most people think of Israel, their minds jump to ancient holy sites or complicated news headlines. But that's not the whole story. Beyond the headlines, there's a hidden side to Israel, one filled with wild innovation. It's a deep cultural scene and some truly mind-bending national achievements that you rarely hear about. Today, we're counting down 5 facts about this small but mighty nation that sound completely made up, but are 100% true. It leads the world in recycling water. Kicking things off, our first fact sounds like a typo. Israel recycles nearly 90% of its wastewater. To put that in perspective, Spain, which comes in second, recycles about 20% of its water. The United States, a mere 1%. Israel is located in a semi-arid climate, so for them, water wasn't just a problem to solve, it was a battle for survival. They poured resources into developing genius-level drip irrigation and water treatment technologies, making them the undisputed world champs in water reclamation.
Ow.
This treated water, which is clean to near-drinking quality, is then used to irrigate the country's farms, literally making the desert bloom and keeping the nation's food supplies secure. It's the startup nation that powers your tech. For our second fact, just look at the phone or computer you're using right now. There's a decent chance an Israeli innovation is helping it work. Despite its tiny size, Israel has earned the nickname Startup Nation because it has one of the highest concentrations of startups and venture capital on the planet. And we're not just talking about social media apps. We're talking about core technology that changed the world. Remember ICQ, the original instant messenger that was born here? A huge chunk of the processing power in Intel's legendary Pentium chips was developed in Israel, along with key parts of Microsoft's Windows NT operating system. Voicemail and the first USB flash drive were also Israeli inventions. Today, the country is a giant in cybersecurity, AI-driven medicine, and advanced agricultural tech, proving that some of the most valuable resources aren't in the ground, they're in people's minds. This next one is a genuine environmental head-scratcher. In a world that is struggling with deforestation, Israel is one of the only countries that ended the 20th century with more trees than it had when it started, thanks to one of the most ambitious reforestation projects in history. The Jewish National Fund has planted over 240 million trees since its founding. These efforts transformed barren hillsides and dusty landscapes into massive forests. These forests, like the Yadir forest on the edge of the Negev desert, act as crucial green lungs that fight against the spread of the desert and support surprisingly diverse ecosystems. It's a powerful example of a long-term vision for a greener future. It has more museums per capita than any other country. Alright, for our fourth fact, we're shifting gears from tech and trees to culture. For a nation with a smaller population than many major cities, Israel has more museums per capita than any other country in the world. With over 200 museums scattered across the land, it's clear this is a society that is passionate about preserving and sharing its history, art, and culture. You can wander through the world-famous Israel Museum in Jerusalem, with its incredible collection of archaeology and art, or you can find super niche museums dedicated to things like industrial design, technology, and even the history of olive oil. It just shows how much this society values its complex heritage in telling its story. Everyday life is a unique blend of ancient and ultra-modern. Our number one fact isn't just one statistic, it's the feeling you get. When you see how Israel blends the ancient and the ultra-modern into everyday life, it's the only liberal democracy in the Middle East. It has 2 official languages, Hebrew and Arabic. But you'll hear Russian and English spoken everywhere, a reflection of its immigrant-built society. You can visit the Dead Sea and float in the saltiest water on Earth at the lowest point on the planet, but the quirks go even deeper. The glue on Israeli stamps is certified kosher. Many of the McDonald's restaurants are kosher, too, adapting a global brand to local traditions. It's even a place where you can find public charity boxes called tzedakah at bus stops, weaving philanthropy right into the daily commute. This constant mashup of deep tradition, natural wonders, and cutting-edge life makes Israel a country of endless, fascinating contradictions.